Good morning and welcome. We want to give a shout out to our virtual listeners. My name is Emily Skaggs. Today is February 20th, 2016. Today we're going to talk about assessment, evaluation, and cheating. So we want to get started with our weekly quality check. Can you give me a green check if you see the red record in the upper right-hand corner? Wonderful. So we're going to go ahead and get started with the triggering phase. Now, the first thing we want to talk about is what our learning objectives are for today. And today's learning objectives are that we can define what assessment and evaluation in online education course looks like, identify why assessment and evaluation are important in any educational experience, give at least 3 of the 5 examples of methods students may use to cheat in an online educational class, and explain methods educators can use to help stop this cheating. So what I'd like to start out with, and for our virtual listeners, you're going to go ahead and make sure that you pause the recording and you're going to answer these questions and put them in your missed class summary. So for those of you that are here, you can grab on the video, grab the microphone, write it in the chat, raise your hand, however it works for you. But what is assessment and evaluation?
I would say that assessment and evaluation is basically a testing of your knowledge and understanding, and it ends up in a summary of what you understood.
Okay, great.
Yeah, and I echo that. And as opposed to testing, I would just say the word validation or verification of that knowledge or mastery of a skill.
Okay, so why do you guys think students cheat?
I would say it's fear that they may not actually understand or comprehend the information and would be expected to remediate, and or they run out of time and think that just borrowing the information from someone else will help them meet their deadline.
And then I would say that there are those who just really don't care to put the effort in. They don't understand why they should put effort towards learning something when they can just cheat.
Yeah, those are all great answers. And sometimes it's hard to understand why people would cheat. Sometimes it's just being lazy. Sometimes it's just that I ran out of time to do something, or maybe I don't have good time management. We're going to move into our exploration phase and kind of talk a little bit about what assessment is. And assessment, it's basically kind of trying to determine what the student's learning, how they've learned, what processes, what outcomes, what are the results of what they have learned. It can be multi-phase. It can be an acquisition of maybe a skill, behavioral, cognitive. You're applying like critical or creative solutions to complex problems. You can have like that critical support, and it can become a context, and we can always use our community of inquiry. Assessment can occur throughout a course, but provides feedback to the students, which is excellent. As an instructor, you'll be able to give them an idea of how well they're doing as you kind of assess them throughout the course. It shapes the learning too, and it can hopefully give us a way to approach learning in a deep and meaningful manner. And it will help us to diagnose when we have maybe some misconceptions of what was learned. Assessment, I think, is a good thing throughout a course, and it does help us know what was learned, what wasn't learned, so that maybe we can help with like reteaching. What do you guys think about assessment? Should it be something that's done throughout a course, just like at the beginning, the middle, and the end, or what?
I think that just only having the major assessments that are worth, a great deal of your grade is a high pressure that you put on the students. And I would prefer spreading out those assessments, chunking them up even smaller throughout the course.
Definitely. I think students do better when you have it chunked up. We're going to go ahead and move on to evaluation. Now, evaluation is slightly different than assessment. Evaluation is actually referred to where you're actually kind of comparing a unit or a course or a program against a certain set of performance or outcome criteria. And that criteria is usually set up by external agents or organizations, but the interests of the teacher and the student have to be a driving force when you're evaluating this course. There are 8 elements that we use when we're evaluating a course. It would be the perception of the course experience, the orientation of the course, the quality and content of the course, discussion and interaction among the participants, and maybe a self-assessment or participation and performance of the course. What the course management system was that was used, was there technical support, and did we have access to resources? Evaluation is different than assessment. Can we see that? Do we see that there is a difference? Oh, yes, you're agreeing that yes, there is a difference. Great, I'm glad. Now, there are some factors that will actually kind of affect the difference between assessment and evaluation. And with assessment, there are factors that will complicate assessment. Some of those factors are the effects of the media that's being used, the lack of the physical proximities. When you go to a face-to-face environment, you're all in the same room. You don't have that in an online educational class. The body language is used for feedback in classrooms. Usually you can tell from the posture or the body language that the professor is using as they're walking around the room. You get kind of an idea of what's going on. We read a lot from body language, and you don't have that in an e-learning class. The limited instructor supervision over the learning process, it's difficult for it to be authentic. You have the cheating on exams. And after class, when you're in a face-to-face environment, you all stand around and you'll interact with each other. You don't really have that as much in an e-learning class. Do you guys have any ideas of how to overcome any of these complications? If you want to grab the chat or grab the video or talk. All right, let's see, Kara's going to type something.
While she's typing, Emily, I could say that when you chunk information at the very beginning of that session, you can assess prior knowledge then.
Okay, yes, definitely. I think that providing specific and perhaps required times to meet directly with the professor and or the students, yeah, you can have them come in and say, I've even had a class where one of the professors, the very first class of the quarter, they made you come in and have a seat, and then you kind of met everybody and kind of explained the course, maybe had some little icebreakers to kind of get to know your fellow classmates, and you kind of get that social interaction that you didn't get when you were just in the class and totally online.
Yeah, a totally online course too, you can do video streaming, or you could do like online office hours or coffee chats so that people can kind of come and go and be able to still feel that personal connection.
Yes, those are great ideas. Wonderful. All right, we're going to go ahead and continue. And let me go ahead real quick and change the polling. Okay, so I've changed the polling. Give us just a minute. Let's read through this, kind of think of what you want your answer to be. It's is a method students use to cheat in an e-learning course? So which of these do you guys think is something that, students will use to cheat? A fraudulent error message, essay plagiarism, they purchase the answers, collusion. All right, so we think it's purchase answers and essay plagiarism. Does somebody want to just go ahead and grab the purple and move that out of our way for us? I know I didn't give you all of the options because actually it's every single one of those. And we're going to talk about that in just a second. All right, so waiting for answers. Some online instructors will give you an assessment and it'll take you a couple days to finish the assessment. And with that flexibility, students can take the assessment and then talk to somebody else that's in the class and say, these were the questions that they had. And then you have the opportunity to go in and take the assessment and get a really good grade because you've had that feedback from fellow classmates. So sometimes they'll wait on answers, and it's a method of cheating. The fraudulent error message, that is where the students will say they were trying to complete the assessment, and then maybe they've even printed out the assessment and then they send an email to their professor saying, I wasn't able, I had this error message. And since the professor may not read that email right away, they would then go ahead and reset the exam as time. The student has had more time to prepare, has had a chance to even look at the questions maybe because they pre-printed the exam, and then they obviously will get a better grade on the assessment. Collusion, students, they can be all over the world when you're taking an online educational class, but there's an opportunity for them to collude with the fact that they will get together and work on the individual assessments together. They can use their cell phones, they can get on the internet, and work together over that distance. So that's another method of cheating. Essay plagiarism, they copy and paste entire passages without citation into their essay or short answer questions. One of the ways to help prevent that is to make them submit those answers to plagiarism software, but sometimes it takes a long time and it's a lot of waste of time. The other method is that they can go ahead and purchase the answers. You can go on websites like brainmass.com, and it allows students to submit an essay question or an exam question, and they can purchase the answer to that. So if the students have time to take an assessment, that they would be able to go ahead and look up the grade and look up the answer and get a good grade. What do you guys think of these different methods? Did any of them surprise you, or were you shocked that people would use these type of messages or collude with each other or plagiarism or even purchase answers? Kara, type in.
I'm not surprised by any of it.
Yeah, I never even thought about pretending there was a fake error message. I know, seriously. I read that and I was like, wow. What are some of the ways that an educator can catch or stop cheating in online classes? Some of the things are maybe having some real-time interaction between the students and the instructor. Instructor can become familiar with the background of the student, their writing style, how well they take a test. That way you have an idea like, this person usually doesn't do this well, and all of a sudden now they're doing great. Requiring students to just sign and return an academic dishonesty statement. They can use multiple testing centers, non-related proctor, use testing software that prepares randomized questions so that no two exams are alike. Protect their test banks, create multiple versions of assessment, use shorter time frames, essay, question formats, monitoring student activity, like using their time logs, set a trap for them, maybe with webcam usage, changing the class each semester, and then maybe even creating a class mold. Any of these are ways that we can help to stop cheating. So we're going to move into the integration phase. I have a case study here that I would like for you guys to think about. Frank, he is our instructor, and he is giving a geometry test to his students this week. And he's worried some of his students are going to try to cheat on the test since it's an online class. Gives Frank 3 suggestions on what he can do to keep his students from cheating on a test. So what I'd like for you guys to do is to go ahead and move to the room 1 and have the case study here. You can use the text, you can grab a pen, write on it, and then we're just going to go ahead and set the timer for 3 minutes, and then when we're done, just come on back. I went ahead and I turned off the timer for us. Let's go ahead and take a minute and let me get to the slide, and we'll see what your responses were. Okay, so can one of you hop on the microphone? Tell us a little bit about why you came up with these ideas.
Well, I'll go ahead and start. Randomizing questions and answers is really helpful because then the technology that you're using is really doing the work for you. Even if people are sitting beside each other, the likelihood that the questions and the answers are going to be the same is less.
Well, by camera we mean having the webcam on and recording while a student is taking an assessment.
Yeah, that's a great way to make sure that the actual person who's supposed to be taking the exam is even the one that's taking the exam.
Yeah, it does really work out well. And then the third idea is to use a lockdown browser, and what that does is it impedes movement back and forth in the exam once you've submitted an answer, and then it also impedes the ability for the students to copy and paste or print.
That is wonderful. Great answers, ladies. All right, so let's go ahead and we're going to get back to, I think, where we were starting. Yep, there we go. Kind of pulling this all together, ladies, one of the most important things is that we do need to assess. We need to assess our students throughout the course, not just at the beginning, the middle, and the end. And then we need to maybe evaluate the course to see, is it meeting the requirements that we set forth to create this course? Is the learning objectives being met? And then we have to understand how our students cheat and maybe a little bit about why they cheat, and then kind of use our different methods that we've come up with to help maybe stop the cheating. Thank you so much for coming. Is there any questions? These are the references that I use. If you have any questions, please feel free to drop me an email. Thanks.